Next on MLR Weekly, a final count on next year's teams. Chairman Genichi Tamatsuka and Chief Operating Officer Hajime Shoji of the world's best professional league, Japan's Rugby League 1. Plus, the latest Major League Rugby news with Rugby Mornings, John Fitzpatrick. Rugby Wrap-Up brought to you in part by Sheehy Auto Stores. It's easy at Sheehy. The Pig and Whistle, the world's best rugby pub. And Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle. Hello again, and welcome to this week's MLR Weekly, as presented by Rugby Wrap-Up. Matt McCarthy in New York City, and we've got an enormous show for you this week. We have on the show the chairman of the board and COO, Chief Operating Officer of Japan's Rugby League 1. That is the new version of the top league. They've got all the big spending. They're bringing in all those players. But first, we have our MLR Weekly recurring segment, Rugby Mornings Coffee Break with John Fitzpatrick. John, let's save the pleasantries. What do you got for us?
Hey, Matt, how you doing? Let's start with happy trails. Former England international Chris Robshaw officially retired from professional rugby. Robshaw spent 2 injury-shortened seasons with the San Diego Legion.
Happy Trails, not to be confused with Happy Tails, the pet adoption agency that we got Webb Ellis McDouche from. Next!
Moving on to player signings, but staying in San Diego, they quickly found a replacement for Robshaw by signing Scottish international Blair Cowan. Big signing.
Scottish, it's all crap. Next!
Let's move over to the Eastern Conference and Rugby ATL. A flurry of re-signings here. They re-signed scrum half Ryan House for 2 more seasons. They also re-signed Canadian international center George Barton. And they re-signed utility back Martini Talapusi, who, did you know this, Matt, has his commercial pilot license?
I did not know that, but Martini, shaken, not stirred, and not so fast, Talapusi. Next!
Oh, that was Scottish. Got it. Staying with Rugby ATL, they have signed a multi-year partnership to return to Silverbacks Park. What do you think of that, Matt?
I like it. Will they be changing their name from the Rattlers to the Gorillas? Oh, okay. No monkey business. But Next!
Let's move on up to Toronto. They have re-signed Canadian international scrum half Ross Brody. What a great name. What do you think his broskies think of the re-signing?
Next!
The Utah Warriors, they've re-signed scrum half Zion Going. You could say Zion Going back to Utah. You know, Matt, Tupac Shakur, Biggie Smalls, East Coast versus West Coast rap. Matt, you're a rap connoisseur, aren't you?
Peace! Next!
And in head coaching vacancy news, New York and DC have announced that they haven't announced any new head coach signings yet. What's the deal there, Matt?
Better late than never. Oh, wait, they haven't yet. Next!
That's all I got.
All right, well, I got something for you, Rugby Mornings Coffee Break with John Fitzpatrick. How about this? How about 12 teams, LA and Austin, both out despite 11th and 12th hour attempts to salvage at least LA so that the players could stay there, and then the Austin players would just go to Chicago and make everything easy. But oh no, it didn't happen. So we got 12 teams. Thankfully, Chicago is in. They are likely not to be sharing in the ownership of the overall league. They're coming in just as a team, so they think that they're going to maybe make some coin on their own. If they pay all the capital calls back, and again, this is above my pay grade, ladies and gentlemen, so the details might not be completely accurate, but if they pay all the capital calls that the other owners have paid thus far, then they can share in the league ownership in case a big company like CVC or Silver Lake comes in and buys a chunk. But right now, they don't share ownership in the league. But Chicago in. And of course, everything that I say right now could change in a second. But that's the nature of the beast here. I think it's great news. What's your take on it, John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Mornings Coffee Break?
Yeah, quick take here. Wow, 2 teams gone, 1 back in, a balanced schedule, 12 teams, 6 in each conference. Hey, there's a season in 2023 after all of the radio silence the past couple of months. You got to think that's good news.
And JF, there's also the news that these players from both teams will go into a dispersal draft. But I would think that some of these players are going to say, screw that, and bolt, specifically after they're not going to get the kind of jack that they were getting if they were taking money under the table.
Ooh, good point.
On that note, finish on a high. Thank you, John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Mornings Coffee Break. We'll be right back with the chairman and COO of Japan's Rugby League One after this.
Selling or trading in your vehicle? She makes it easy. With Easy Trade, start online or visit us in store. We want your vehicle, and we'll give you up to 125% of KBB value.
It's easy at Shehe.com.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
Wheels on fire, taking them higher like Speedy Gonzales, making you tire. Classy ambition in every position, immense in defense, just like Mum's fence. Tactics, fanatics, hat-tricks, fantastic. There's nowhere to hide from the Welsh side vibe. Football tribe. World Cup pride.
Hey, we're back, and we're back with some very, very, very cool, dignified guests on the global rugby scene. None other than Japan League One chairman Genichi Tamatsuka and Chief Operating Officer Hajime Shoji. Gentlemen, I hope I got those names correct. Welcome to MLR Weekly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your introduction.
Your pronunciation is really good. Yeah.
I'm going to apologize in advance because I know that you're being very gracious, both of you. Gentlemen, I'm very excited to have you on MLR Weekly because your league is what the MLR can become in a couple of 3 years of hard work and some luck. I have to salute you for what you're doing over with Japan and professional rugby. After the World Cup, prior to the World Cup, I had the pleasure of being in Japan a number of times. I wasn't at the World Cup. I was actually on my way there, and then the storm hit. So all the flights got canceled. So I had to turn around and go back. But prior to that, I was over there the year before on helping scout the different stadiums. It was just so impressive. And I actually played many moons ago at the Yokohama Country Club with the New York Rugby Club on a club tour. And I just can't say enough positive things about Japan, the different cities there, and specifically the rugby. You have such a great setup. But I want to get to the tough question first. And I'm going to come at you first, Gen. What do you say to those out there that say Japan is paying all this money to all these players and ruining the pay scale for other professional setups? What do you say to them?
No, I don't think so. Let me explain a little bit background why we started new league called Japan Rugby League One. So as you said, 2019 World Cup was biggest experience for us, for Japanese rugby community. Not only really heavy rugby fans, but also all over the place Japanese people, including old people, young ladies, and everybody wearing Japanese, red and white jerseys, and they really support our World Cup, the games, and then we realized the big potential in this country for spreading rugby as a games, because maybe rugby unique nature for solidarity, respect to each other, fair play, no side, game after the game, no side. Those spirits are very similar to Japanese, original kind of spirits. So we decided, let's really, push for this opportunity. And before that, we had a league called Top League, and which mainly sponsored by corporation that happened to be the sponsored company really big, the global company, Suntory, Canon, NTT, Toyota, Panasonic, those people have been supporting our teams more than 50 years, 60 years, a long history. So we changed format a little bit. We cannot directly go to the 100% professional, the scheme, but the first stage, we go like a kind of semi-professional and professional combination hybrid model, and then supported by those people. So, because of the 2019 experience, not only for Japanese people, but also players from the global level, like New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, they had a good experience in Japan. And not only players, but also their families. They feel very comfortable, trading in Japan. So those are the kind of mixed things. We don't have any intention paying just higher salary to those players and acquire them. We don't have such an intention.
Over here we've got people slamming their fists on the table over Major League Rugby, the MLR, having all of these foreign players across the teams and saying that is not helping grow the nation's team. Hajime, I wanted to ask you, from an operational standpoint, how does it work for you with the foreign slots of players as per the quota per team and Japanese players?
Actually, we are observing the mutual benefit to have the Japanese and the foreign players in one team. And actually, foreign players are bringing lots of high-level play, also high culture of rugby to the Japanese team, while Japanese team players are taking the good culture to them as Japanese traditional rugby. So I think so far, this kind of diversity management is working quite well.
And you also help these players away from the game in terms of taking care of the families. Can you explain that?
Yes. After World Cup, many foreign players are coming to Japan, partially because of, or largely because of their family issues. So families are quite appreciating Japanese safety and a good condition or good level of their daily life. And actually teams are well taking of their family, like integration to the local community, or also support, many support for their daily life. So this kind of family caring is, I think, one of the very important part for foreign players to choose this Japanese market.
The supporting companies to the team is quite global companies. They really get used to handling so-called expatriate management. So they have not only players but also many employees, many managers, many C-level people from foreign countries. So they are really get used to handling those things. That's another reason.
How did the corporations get involved in the rugby teams to begin with? Because you are talking about decades of involvement from corporations, right? I mean, I was over there and I saw Todd Clever, who was Team USA's star, play with George Gregan for the Suntory Goliath when Eddie Jones was coaching them. And coincidentally, I had just been in Japan when they were playing in the championship match and won that year. And I went to that match, spectacular setting, great venue, easy to get to, filled stadium. And this is long before the World Cup was even on the radar. And you had a George Gregan and Todd Clever loving every minute of it. You had other international players, of course, across the board. Suntory, this is a big global company. How and why did that happen?
I think the origin of the rugby Japan. That was more than 100 years ago. And, part of the reason, the same as my understanding, originally started in England, 18th centuries. The part of the purpose is kind of educational tool to create, really great leadership who has very strong physical strongness, but also has, really great spirit, a fair play zone. So Japan really, gets that message, and many companies utilize rugby as a tool for educational tool for the human capital development or leadership development. So many of the, my friends at the big corporation level, C-level people, a long time ago, they played rugby at the Toyota, they played rugby at the Panasonic. There are so many people there. So, that's the kind of origin. So we are now slowly moving forward more, entertainment, more professional league, how we can, improve the excitement of the games, how we can improve the financial situation for the each teams, so on. But the origin of the rugby, why they are doing rugby, why they are investing in rugby is a part of the investment for the human capital.
Yeah, actually, before World Cup, as Gen mentioned, many players, many corporations are having the team, but most of the players are just belonging to the corporation as employees. So therefore, 100% employees team. That's the quite traditional style. But now half is professional and half is still at employees level. And so this is a current hybrid format, as Gen explained. And in that, basically, at the players' condition, aside from salary, totally same condition. But just for the salary, professional, it's their salary is coming from rugby itself, while employees, players are having the salary level as employees. However, for them, after their rugby life, their second career is secured at the corporation level. And in fact, many management level or even executive level for those teams is coming from rugby. Because as Gen mentioned, rugby is kind of the symbol of teamwork or leadership. And corporations are highly appreciating these uniqueness of rugby. And as a result, many ex-rugby employees are playing a very important role in their corporation as their second career. So that's current situation.
We're talking salary, right? And over here in the United States, Major League Rugby, I'm sure you guys are aware of it. We've had 2 teams disqualify in the last week of the season last year in the regular season, and they were leading the Western Division in the playoff hunt. So they would have qualified, but they were disqualified for alleged skirting of the salary cap. We have a salary cap here, right? And the players aren't getting a lot of money, but this is a first go at professional rugby, or a second go. We had one iteration in 2016 for a year, but now this is this is a go. This league just finished its 5th season. It survived COVID, like you guys had to deal with COVID. You know all about that. But what is your salary cap situation? Do you have one? How do you sheriff it, so to speak?
So we don't have salary cap system. Instead, we have as a league, we have the cross communication with the team, how to realize the stable financial condition, including the salary. And so at the first season, it's on progress. However, so far, this kind of self-salary management is working quite well because as Gen mentioned, still teams are working closely with the parent company as a corporation, and they are having a good interest in managing the good salary level. So therefore, communication between teams and parent company supported by league is working quite well to manage the good salary level with stable financial condition.
We do not have salary cap, but I think what we are doing is we give them kind of the guideline for the as a total salary for the players for each team. So it's up to them what kind of portfolio of the players they're gonna create. So they cannot create all really high paid people. So they combined with corporate employee level players together with the global players. So those are the things we are now doing. We don't have the clear salary cap, but we have to definitely control the spending for that to the healthy financial situation. So we are doing that. Yeah.
And you see, gents, you have like the English Premiership, for instance, two teams that have gone into administration or bankruptcy, and that is Worcester and Wasps. And you had the London Irish owner actually say, sort of tongue in cheek, that he would give the team away if it was guaranteed that they would stay where they are. And now there was talk about merging with another squad. So it's, you've got problems all over in professional rugby. South Africa, the stadiums are empty. The URC, they're trying to figure out how to get all this going with TV rights deals and filling the stadiums. And it kind of has to happen organically. And it has where you guys are. It's happened organically. And I was over in England in 2015 when you knocked off South Africa. And I thought that was a stunner, right? But now you beat Ireland. You guys are succeeding. Others aren't. And maybe one day we'll have across like a Heineken Cup kind of competition across the globe. What are your thoughts on that, Gen?
I don't think we are so successful. Each team, Southern Hemisphere, New Zealand, Australia, and England, everybody, improving their performance, and they are, getting really strong. We are, we have the game this coming Saturday, All Blacks and Japan. So we see what's kind of the game we can play. Our aim is we want to bring back World Cup again to Japan in sometimes near future. To do that, we have to have a very strong Japanese team. To make strong Japanese team, we need really high level of the competition, high level of the game quality. To realize that, we need some of the really top level of the players. They play together with Japanese-oriented players. So this is the only way we can push up the level of the competition. And then we have to consider like a cross-border competition. Always we can compete with really top level of the teams. So those are the kind of things we got to do. We're still, every team has been improving, especially this past 2-3 years. It's amazing. So we have to catch up. Yeah, we have to go into at least like a rank 7, 6, rank 5, so on. We have to continuously improve.
The national team is one thing, but the professional game is another. Across the globe, do you think maybe we're kind of come upon the time where maybe it's your league plays against the MLR?
Yes. Basically, we have several aspirations to increase our global presence. And the first thing is the cross-border match between the champion of our league and the champion of other league. And because other leagues are highly appreciating our format or our popularity here in Japanese market, so therefore, I think in the near future, a cross-border match should be realized. So that's the first one. And also, we are positioned in Asia. And that is quite a new market for rugby. And so therefore, after evolving further as our league, we have a chance to expand our system even in this newly developing market. So our hybrid system or our development system and others should be bringing the good things to this kind of new market. So therefore, or in these two aspects, our aspiration is to be a leader of rugby in Asian market.
As Hajime mentioned, we are our unique positioning in Asia, center of the Asia, and two things. Our Asia Pacific time zone in the southern hemisphere. There's New Zealand, Australia, Samoa, Fiji. There are many. Although the population itself is not that big, however, many great players in terms of rugby. That's one very uniqueness. The other thing is many people mention after 2030, 2035, 60%, 70% of growth coming from Asia Pacific. So we have the potential audience in China, Southeast Asia, many population. They are willing to see exciting, sports entertainment contents. So how we can, capture those the people as a potential, audience in terms of broadcasting, in terms of the fan basis, so on. And then we create some of the really great players, originally from China, originally from Korea, originally from India, so on. And then if create a very, very great star players, their home country people started watching that game. So those are the kind of business opportunity. So we should really leverage our unique positioning. We're situated in a center of Asia Pacific. On the other hand, there's so many discussion going on in terms of the World Cup level World Championship for the club league, including European continent, maybe MLR, United States continent, all those continents. This is exciting too. So we see both options. This is not A or B things. We're going to chase A and B. And then we have to really consider carefully about like a calendar, seasonality zone, how we can match those each country's season and the calendars. This is a really tough one. But
what do you think about the global calendar?
Oh, global calendar is very important to develop the national team further. And actually, we have the living with this global calendar together. However, on the other hand, as a league, in some seasons, even with players belonging to without players belonging to the national team, I think the league is running quite well because currently basis of Japan rugby is higher. So therefore, without national players, I think the attractiveness of our league should be kept. So on that, I think we can have more games while living with the global calendar.
Yeah, that's a hot topic across the planet, isn't it? The global rugby calendar, and you got some that are very, very opinionated on it on both sides of that. And I'm like, we got to come together. We got to come together and figure it out. And we can absolutely figure it out. I'm pretty positive. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. I've been over there a number of times. If I was a player, I would move in a second. In a second, I'd be there. I've had so much fun. The infrastructure is so great. You can take train. It's easy to get around the country. The people are all nice. It's spectacular, in terms of scenery and everything else. The train system is one of my favorite aspects.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just great. But I got a conundrum. If I'm not mistaken, Gen, you played for Singapore, right?
Yeah, a long time.
So wouldn't that make you an international, and we'd have to treat you as an international slot in this league?
So when I was 27 years old, I was dispatched at the Singapore, the company where I was working, and I played at the Singapore national team. Singapore national team necessarily so strong, but I played so many times Hong Kong Sevens, and the 15.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, gentlemen, on that note, we are out of time. Chairman Genichi Tamatsuka-san and COO Hajime Shoji-san, arigato.
Very much, Matt.
Arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you very much, Matt, for this great opportunity.
Pleasure's been mine, gentlemen. I'd also like to thank John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning. And thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Please be sure to check out our other shows, including the Rugby Odds and our College Rugby Wrap-Up. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, sign up for our weekly newsletter, and please join our American Red Cross Blood Donor Team.